Well, thank you very much indeed, Joachim Dermot. I'm really pleased to be here. I think I described Professor Cahill as a constructive, critical friend last time we met, and that's what, of course, we need in government, but much more than being a critical friend. We need the evidence base, we need the expertise, and we need the drive and ambition that I know that you have and your team, and to help us take this important agenda forward in the most effective way. So I know this is the second annual Procurement Week, and I'm very sorry I'm not going to be with you tonight at the inaugural Procurement Awards dinner, but I know I'm going to be able to say a few words about that and very much welcome it and highlight it as part of my presentation this afternoon. But I think, again, this is about how you are helping us to raise the profile of procurement. And I am being followed by John McClelland, who, of course, has made such a powerful contribution to us in terms of that evidence base, which, of course, you'll hear more about shortly. But I think having these innovative and exciting conferences and having this Procurement Week has really been, for us, a great benefit in Welsh Government, but more importantly for all your participants. And I know you've had a large number over the last 5 days. But it is also about how we can recognise what we are doing in Wales and what we're doing well in Wales, as well as understanding and learning from the international perspective. And already Dermot's already fed back some of the learning that you've gathered together this week. But I do congratulate Bangor University for taking this forward with your leadership, Dermot. So the focus of the week, as I've said, is about sharing best practice. The awards dinner tonight will, of course, be about how innovative and creative procurement can deliver. And I'm going to talk a little about, to start off with, about the Homegrown Talent project, which the Welsh Government is running. And that's, of course, aiming to improve procurement capacity and capability, together with developments following the publication of John's report. And, of course, we learnt so much about that. A lot we knew, but we needed the evidence, we needed the backing from John to ensure that we could have a powerful message in terms of what Welsh Government needs to do about how we can maximise the impact of public procurement policy in Wales. And, of course, following through from John's report, I was able to issue the procurement policy statement in December, and that brought together all of the policies, the tools and guidance we've produced, and made it clear that I see that the principles of the statement should be mandatory across the public sector. And I know that's a point of discussion which I'm sure we will focus on. So I am the Finance Minister for Wales responsible for procurement, and of course I want to see our public money spent wisely. And also that is about ensuring that we maintain the high quality public services which we all rely on. But I also want to see our money spent in a way that supports the economy, our communities and our environment. And public procurement is a key tool in achieving this. How we use our annual 4.3 billion public procurement expenditure has a profound impact on Welsh jobs and businesses. And the efficiency savings that we make protect public sector jobs and frontline services. Strengthening the contract opportunities that we offer Welsh companies leads to growth in private sector jobs and the economy. And procurement features strongly in our programme for government. One of those commitments is to implement the recommendations of the Barriers to Procurement Opportunity. And that was a report that was co-authored by Bangor University and Glamorgan University. And this commitment sits alongside commitments to build community benefits into our procurement process and by achieving operational efficiencies through joint procurement systems and effective collaboration. But to do this, of course, it's essential that we have sufficient procurement professionals in place and that they have the right skills. So back to the Homegrown Talent Project, that's designed to address this issue. And through that project, we've taken on over 20 trainees. We're equipping them with all the skills, training, professional qualifications necessary to take forward procurement in the future. But they're also being exposed to the real world through placements with public sector bodies. Of course, that includes universities, but local authorities, colleges, NHS boards, the emergency services. And the projects that have become involved with Homegrown Talent Project, they are incredibly diverse. And of course, the fact that savings could be made currently standing over 4 million as a result of this intervention. I think it's important that we recognise that in terms of the interventions and the projects that they're being involved in, that the biggest success is that public sector organisations are taking these people on into permanent employment in their procurement functions. So it's making the step, the transition, taking them on and then delivering the efficiencies and the savings in the contracts. I know that the project lost 4 people over the last year because they've been taken on. So they have to replace and they're recruiting those replacements. But that's an indication of success. So we've concentrated the recruitment in North Wales to specifically address capacity issues here. And of course that is an All Wales response to the need. But also the Homegrown Talent Project is working with universities with particular procurement or supply chain expertise to utilise research, to disseminate best practice, to raise awareness with leaders and recognise those individuals who make a real difference. And in addition to Bangor, we also, of course, working, I've mentioned Glamorgan University, Swansea and Cardiff, all keen to work collaboratively to improve procurement practices. So I know that the awards dinner this evening will be a product of this approach, collaborative approach, and the formation of a best practice academy to follow in the summer, along with a series of events designed to make the case for raising the profile and maximising the benefits of procurement professionals. So, of course, you're going to hear more from John McClelland, and I did mention his report earlier on. The importance of the message from John is the fact that we need to improve capacity and capability, but also the way he looked at government policy and how it's been deployed. And the lessons from that is that organisations that have invested in their procurement function improve results. And I think John's report considers, again, simplification of the procurement process. Public procurement, of course, is governed by the European regulations. Tendering is clearly not a straightforward process, but we can make things better. And of course, that has come through very clearly from John's report. And many of you in the public sector have helped My Value Wales officials to develop the standard pre-qualification approach and question set. Now, known as the SQUID, this is based on simple principles. Consider the context and only ask for the information you need. Quite clear, common sense. And use the same questions to secure common information. Simple in principle. But the prize is to cut a swathe through the 20 million it costs business each year to respond to pre-qualification. And really opening up contracts to smaller suppliers. So I launched the SQUID back in February last year, recognising that many public sector organisations have been piloting it for over a year with great success. All local authorities and the NHS have committed to use the SQUID, and we're working on hosting it electronically on the newly refreshed Sell to Wales website. So the SQUID was developed and created in response to one of the key recommendations of that barriers report I mentioned at the start of my talk this afternoon. It's one that's making a real difference to the way the public sector does business. But also the McClellan report refers to making contract opportunities more accessible to smaller companies. And I'm pleased to say that Sell to Wales was launched back in 2003. Over 20 billion of contracts have now been advertised. And more recently been working on another barriers recommendation relating to wider advertisement of lower value opportunities, suitable of course for SMEs. And last year the volume of these advertisements had increased by 24%. The increase is now 30%, and almost 3,200 smaller opportunities have been advertised since April 2011. Sell to Wales also allows first-tier suppliers to advertise to subcontractors, and we're working with businesses to make greater use of this facility, so that the small businesses registered on Sell to Wales can see all possible opportunities. Again, looking at the figures, in 2003, 35% of Welsh public procurement expenditure went to Wales-based businesses. Analysis of the 2010-11 data available showed the figure is now 52%, with over 1,660 Welsh small and medium-sized enterprises receiving orders worth between 150,000 and 5 million. So that does demonstrate that our policies are making a difference. Some contracts just can't be delivered by small suppliers, but that doesn't mean that the Welsh economy needs to lose out. Our community benefits policy is delivering social outcomes, the training and employment of disadvantaged people, the use of local supply chains, and where applied, of course, this policy has resulted in a 30% greater local multiplier effect from the expenditure. And over the past 2 years, it's been applied to contracts worth over 4 billion. So I want to tell you about the results from the first 18 completed projects, worth some 282 million in contract value. 82% of this expenditure went to Wales, 81 million directly on salaries to Welsh citizens, and 162 million with Wales-based businesses, 83% of which were Welsh SMEs. And added to this, some 384 disadvantaged people received over 12,500 weeks of training. And technology, of course, is another important tool to opening up opportunities and also in driving down costs. So our Exchange Wales programme has helped the public sector move into e-procurement. And tools like e-tendering, an online ordering experience provided by e-trading, have helped us to deliver over £78.8 million worth of benefits. A particular emphasis has been our e-trading for schools, and that gives schools electronic access to better deals. I've seen at first hand, of course, the clear difference that this has made. Collaboration is another important aspect of public service. Over the past 5 years, Value Wales contracts achieved £125 million worth of efficiencies. And this doesn't mean large contracts that exclude SMEs. It means taking a sensible approach that understands which opportunities can be won by smaller or local suppliers and which require us to deal with larger global businesses. So in some contracts, we want to combine our spend to attract inward investment. In others, we want to see smaller micro businesses collaborating and forming consortia. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution, but it is about having well thought out, intelligent strategies for Wales. And I do believe in Wales we are moving forward. We're moving forward even further on collaboration through the formation of the National Procurement Service. Announced only a couple of weeks ago by myself and the Minister for Local Government and Communities. And of course this service, this National Procurement Service, covers approximately £500,000 worth of spend, and all major public sector organisations, including all local authorities and NHS bodies, have signed up to it. This will remove duplication, reduce costs, improve efficiency, and utilise all the best practice promoted by Welsh Government, from SQUID to community benefits. So this service will start later this year. But we are, as you all know, and I'm sure you've discussed, entering a period of change. the European regulations are likely to change this year, and the draft proposals provide interesting options. We're looking for ways to strengthen our policies as a result, and many of you will be aware that we had a cross-party inquiry on the issue. I recently reported and gave a number of recommendations that I responded to in the Assembly last year. During the spring, the UK government is due to respond to the first report by its Commission on Devolution in Wales, the Silk Commission. Now, this is very relevant and important to us in terms of our powers, our capacity and our levers, because the Silk Commission, the first report, recommends that a range of financial powers should be devolved to the Welsh Government over the next few years, including taxes such as stamp duty, land tax. And while formal consultations on new Welsh tax powers, of course, must await the announcement from the UK Government on the way forward, I'm keen to begin the process of seeking views from Welsh businesses. And next month, in conjunction with the CBI in Wales, I'll be inviting representatives from the construction industry and developers to give their initial thoughts on stamp duty, land tax, how it works at present and how they feel it might be improved or reshaped in the future to better meet the needs of the housing and construction sectors in Wales. There is a real opportunity to make a difference to the Welsh economy through this tax, and I want to make sure that everyone's views are taken on board. So I've used this opportunity this afternoon to highlight that next step in our thinking. And of course, this is all about our commitment, which was made very clear in the strengthening of my portfolio last week by the First Minister in developing the Welsh Treasury. I know that the future of stamp duty will be an important component of our future work. So I want to finish with a particular issue which is of interest to you who live and work in North Wales. The public sector has come under fire from the construction sector in North Wales in recent times and times past, but I do think we've turned the corner in this respect. Public sector organisations are adopting tools such as SQUID and community benefits, and we can particularly see the benefit of that in the 21st Century Schools Collaborative Project. That's where all local authorities, of course, are working together to simplify process, open up opportunities, and achieve maximum economic and social impact. And I've made contact on a regular basis with the construction sector regarding the procurement strategy. Well, this morning I was fortunate enough to go and visit a school which is being constructed, Ysgol y Bont in Anglesey, and met with a key player in the construction industry in North Wales, Chris Wynne, who, of course, his company, Wynne Construction, is building that school. And not only was it wonderful to see how £10 million worth of public money is being spent to such good effect in this new development, which of course will benefit 3 to 19 age range of pupils and students with additional learning needs, but also will benefit the whole community. But one of the most important points of that visit was to meet 2 young apprentices who were now playing their part on the construction site and who had got now, as they told me, prospects. Certainly one of them was already at college, but the other one had more of a difficult educational and further educational experience. And yet he said, this has turned my life round. I've now got prospects. And to know that 83% of the supply chain and the benefits from the contract was being shared locally. And of course, again, this is the way that we relate in Welsh Government so directly with our partners in the private and public sector to feel that there was an endorsement about the fact that we had responded to their concerns and that we were turning the corner. And I think I can confirm that North Wales contractors now feel that the proposed lotting strategy, for example, in terms of 21st century schools procurement, and as we take this forward, does actually provide them with realistic opportunities for them to successfully tender. And that's been agreed by all 6 local authorities involved, a collaboration of all 6 North Wales authorities. The tender process is going to start in May. So that also strongly supports the North Wales Ambitions Board, which aims to collaborate and work collectively to increase economic productivity, competitiveness and growth. So coming here following that visit, of course, was very important to me, and I was able to, I'm able to genuinely say and report back that, of course, is now progressing forward as a result of us learning, listening, and indeed the developments as a result of John McClelland's report and guidance to us. So I'm very glad indeed that I've had the opportunity to join you today. The weather has allowed me to fly up from Cardiff to Anglesey and to take part in this very important procurement week at Bangor University. I know that the Procurement Awards evening is going to be greatly enjoyed by all of you, particularly the award winners. But I think out of it will come the opportunity and the real drive to share that good practice and to show that we can take the lead in Wales. And when I say Wales, I mean North Wales in terms of our opportunities to share and express our support for what you're doing here today. Diolch yn fawr.